the moment when everything is on the line and precision, power, and control make all the difference. A moment over 20 years in the making, anchored on loyalty, trust, and support that goes beyond all expectations. A relentless pursuit of perfection. All born from a revolutionary idea to help you rule the water. Power Pole.
Your early morning mentality is your every hour mentality. All gas, no brakes. Focus, purpose, power. Destined for the water, but confident everywhere else. A calming buzz before the storm, the truth of nature itself. You can't catch lightning in a bottle. There's a limit out there, but it's not with your gear. Unrelenting power delivery. Unparalleled weight savings. Keeping you on the water, whether you run a 9.9 or outscoping your best 5. In this rare air, there's power in the silence. It's a mindset, thinking only of the things that matter and freeing your mind from the things that you trust.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Twisted Cat Outdoors podcast, where we give you information on tournaments, events, everything in the catfishing world, bringing you value, tips and tricks, things that you can do out there on the water. Let's get this show started.
I look at this for the Twisted Cat Outdoors 3-fish record.
Hey everybody, welcome. Monday night, live, 7 o'clock, and we're just getting things kicked off. We've not been in the, I guess you could call, studio in a little bit. We've been doing more of the out and about on the run, so it's kind of good to be back in the, I guess we can call it a studio. It's just my office, but we'll call it a studio. So back in the studio, and we've got a special guest on tonight. We just got done in Fort Madison, Iowa yesterday. So it's our only Sunday tournament we do, Sunday, May 4th. Obviously, I just realized today is Cinco de Mayo. So happy Cinco de Mayo if you are celebrating that. I'm sure some of you are. Fort Madison, like I said, was awesome. We had 58 boats, which is an incredible turnout. And it was at a Turnwater Marina in Fort Madison, Iowa. Everything went really cool. We actually kind of went back in time in Fort Madison and went back to our blast off, just something unique since Turnwater has a brand new marina restaurant. They opened up the bathrooms early in the morning. They had coffee. We had the city there helping side by side and car people back and forth to their truck and trailer once they put their boat in. But then once you put your boat in the morning, everybody stayed in the marina, and we played some music, went over the rules, talked about some things, and then did the national anthem, and then take off one boat at a time. So it was kind of cool to get back to that. Just something every once in a while that, to do and kind of mix things up again. So we really enjoyed that. And a big shout out to the sponsors that, like we always talk about, that help push that. Also, we had Days Marine, $1,000. We had Castaway Midwest, $500. So we had a lot of giveaway stuff. Farm and Home Supply gave a bunch of coupons. Actually, I've got a bunch more. So I think a lot of the anglers, hopefully you got one of these $10 off Twisted Cat special coupon offer. I need to use that. So $10 off if you purchased $50 or more in store or online. And they're still good. So if you didn't get one, let me know. We'll get you $10 off 50. And yeah. And here is our special guest. So no, it went really good. And our true special guest. Is everybody ready?
Oh,
now I got to.
I thought
you're not a guest. You're kind of a host. So I was backstage kind of trying to pick Brendan's brain a little bit, but this team is incredible. They came to the championship last year, fishing against the best of the best, because it's not easy to get into the championship. Never been below Alton, Illinois on the Mississippi. Go to Helena, think outside the box, and win a championship. Won 10 grand, actually probably a little bit more than 10 grand. And then yesterday, what did they win? They won
7,000 for first, 500 for big fish, and then 476 for Calcutta. And
so around almost $8,000 cash plus
plus 2
They-
purpose-built
yeah.
objects.
they got another pair. Now they're going to have 2 PBO sunglasses, and they're going to have a nice suit. So you can't beat that. So these boys are on a run, but let's bring Brennan in and see if we can. If you got questions, we'll see what he'll answer. I can't guarantee it's going to be a lot, but we'll see. So without further ado,
How we
doing?
Good.
Well, hey, good to have you on tonight.
Where's your banner now?
Minimize it so I can see. You gotta scoot in a little bit. Gotta get the one and only in here now. It's the camera only. Like, there you go. You gotta be close to me or it doesn't.
Make me like on your lap. There you go.
All right. So first off, congratulations on a killer first place, and obviously, like that's not an easy tournament to win. You're fishing against a lot of really, really good anglers, and sometimes somebody gets really lucky. So I guess let's start off with coming in the weigh-in, fishing throughout the day. What did you think? Were you watching the live at all? Or were you like, how did that go once you loaded the boat? Like, top 10.
I hate looking at the live feed while we're in the weigh-in line, especially when we know we have a decent weight. We didn't really think we had what it took to win it going into it. We kind of figured there'd be another big flathead caught. We knew we had a great weight for the pool. We knew with our 16-pound flathead that we were going to beat all the other guys who had 5 channels. It's just a matter of who else caught a big flathead.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't look at the live feed all that much during on the way.
Yeah, that is stressful, and I know it's probably as stressful as me standing next to you when you're in the hot seats at the championship.
Yeah,
having to watch it because you were the first boat there to weigh. Having to watch every single boat come through had to be stressful.
Mm-hmm.
Not many people have held that hot seat the whole tournament.
No.
We've had
It
several. I
usually
mean, it
gets
gets, because usually the end of the line gets, and that's when I seen Trapper and Connor come through, and they were like the last boat. I'd kind of heard from their dad that they had some good fish. And then I remember asking Mike, I said, did they got some good ones? And he just kind of shook it. He kind of shrugged and then walked away. So I'm like, oh my, this is going to get interesting. But luckily they only had 3. But what did they have for only 3 fish? It was pretty crazy.
They had like
Pretty.
They had 31, 19, and 3.
Yeah, that was good. I mean,
That's
if
a
they would have
heck of a
got those
bag
2
for
more.
3.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's we're looking at that right now. Just I'll see if I can't bring that up, but results. Another good weigh-in. I know it's probably hard for somebody to see this if you're on your phone, but you guys had 55.27. Donald Moore team came in 52.15, and then sat 50.74. So 3 boats over 50, several in the 40s, and if you go down to big fish, still, and I didn't realize until tonight how, big fish. You're talking the top 14 teams had a fish over 10 pounds, which is incredible. And the top, I mean, look at this.
that's a lot of big
29 had a fish over 9 pounds. So 29 teams with a big fish in their deal for over 9 pounds. I mean, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That really shows what that pool can do. And in my opinion, we didn't hit that pool perfect. Like, we kind of had some goofy. We had a bunch of rain. We had a big cold front come in, and the water was still warming up, but man, it got cold for a couple days.
It did. And the dam was wide open in Burlington too, so
You never really see much current in that pool, so that was kind of unique seeing people, having to use some bigger weights and stuff. But we still seen people. We went out for a couple hours, seen people anchored. We've seen people shallow. We've seen people deep. We've seen people dragging.
We saw a little bit of everything.
We saw a little bit of everything. I mean, it was cool to see still a lot of different techniques being out there, and still people catching them shallow and deep. So I guess let's kind of start from. You guys were ready to come fish this tournament. Kind of just start from when you came, kind of the thought process. Were you looking at weather? Did you think you're going to go north, south? What made some of those decisions for you guys to get that first place finish?
So we had a good idea coming in of what we wanted to do. We kind of had it in our heads that we wanted to try for a big flathead if we wanted to win this tournament. We knew we could catch 5 big channels and compete, but we kind of knew or figured, because I think last year in the Burlington tournament, that's when somebody weighed in a 40-pound flathead and, won it pretty handily. So we figured, okay, we need to try and fish for a big flathead. We know how to fish for them, let's do it. So we're trying to find a good spot where we could target a big flathead while also while we could still fish for quality channel catfish. And we were able to pick out a couple of good spots north. But we only really pre-fished. We got there Thursday night. We really only pre-fished for catfish like 3 or 4 hours and like maybe 5 spots. For the most part, we ended up having a lot of motor issues. I mean, we told Liz that at the farm and home. Michael.
Oh yeah, you guys coming in?
Yeah. Michael completely dismantled the whole motor for the most part. He redid all the carbs. He stripped almost everything off it. He was almost about to rebuild the fuel pump on it because we were having major bogging issues. We were losing 10 to 15 mile an hour. It was like a fuel restriction issue, and he eventually found a piece of like rubber gasket in one of the fuel jets. Once we removed that little piece of rubber from that jet, it ran a lot better. But that basically killed our pre-fishing and our bait getting for the most part. So we were stressing if we could even make a run, going into Sunday. I think it was Saturday night at like 5 before the captain's meeting is when he finally rebuilt the third carburetor and fixed that fuel jet. And we were able to test it and go, full board, 35, 36 mile an hour.
Nice.
And I mean, that's fast for our boat.
Yeah, that's still getting it. No, that was, I remember when you guys, Saturday night when you showed up, we had I think Red had just bought you guys I'm glad. Yeah. Cause you almost bought yourselves.
I wanted to bid another time, but I wasn't sure. We already spent so much money on this trip, it was like, we'll just let Alex have it, Red, I mean,
yeah, I remember he talked about he was on a betting frenzy. I don't know what that was about. Ever since we went to Milford and fished the Fat Cat Classic, he is just loving that. But yeah. So you guys still though got 20%, which is $474, and then Rhett won $1,896. So if you guys would have bought yourself, you guys would have been over 10 grand.
Just on cat.
That's crazy for a catfish tournament, a 58 boat catfish tournament.
Right.
But no, that's cool. And then now you're gonna get 2 pairs. I mean, what are you gonna do? You got 2 nice pair of sunglasses now.
Well, now I don't have to be as careful with my first pair. I've been very ginger with them. I really have. I really don't want to break them, and now I can kind of, bang them up a little bit more.
Yeah.
You can have like a fishing pair and more of like a nicer dress pair.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
And now you get some really nice rain suits.
Or you can get the other kind, depending on whether you got like the freshwater or the electronic type.
I got the electronics, and they're pretty sweet. They changed the whole game.
Yeah, I think I have a freshwater pair, and they're pretty nice. So.
Yeah, I still got to get you. I'll get your sizes. I forgot to do that. I'll get your sizes for the rain suits, and then get the code for the sunglasses. But that'll be awesome. And that's, again, the sponsors are huge behind this, making everything.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of sponsors and Dave's and Moraine, I was talking to Mike this morning, and I'm thinking we have a tie every once in a while. I don't even know that we had a tie last year.
Not really a tie that we have to worry about either.
Yeah.
I mean, not any of those.
So he gives a 44th place a $500 voucher for his store, and the only we get the 44th place is a tie. How in the world does that happen?
The one that we need to look at.
Unbelievable. So we ended up splitting that with Randy Welcher and Walker Hostetter, but it was just one of those tournaments, you know what I mean? It was just wild, but again, another great event. It was fun. So Sunday morning comes, you put your boat in. What's going through your guys' mind?
Don't bog down again. We had our heart dead set on running north because we didn't pre-fish anything in Fort Madison other than maybe a couple spots, and we didn't get anything in Fort Madison. The water seemed muddier downriver for some reason. We really didn't like what we saw, so we're kind of banking everything on, okay, we're running north. Motor, don't fail us now. Just get us upriver and we can float downriver, is what we're kind of thinking when we first launched.
But so once you took off, what boat number were you?
17. We were, Michael signed us up as soon as you announced that you guys are doing this different boat launching strategy or setup, which I really liked. The one tournament, there's no travel time. We're having motor issues, but I did kind of like, launching by boat number. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff going on in the morning, but it really, like, that place works awesome because we're kind of standing above you guys. I don't know how did it sound out there when Liz was singing and the music and stuff, and actually you hear it good.
Great job singing, yeah.
That's so good.
She did do a little bit.
Yeah, we heard you guys loud and clear. I mean, it was I didn't really see any hiccups, so that Marina was awesome. It really is.
Yeah.
I think it always makes it more personable, and that's how we used to do it. So I think it was kind of cool to bring that back to Fort Madison too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
have a perfect marina for it.
Yeah, it's tough to do it at all the places, but where you can, it just works good. Mm-hmm. And like I said, so we want to get the date and stuff out for that event. We're definitely going to be going back to Fort Madison. Burlington's maybe even a possibility to do that, but some of them we're not close to the water, so it's hard to do that. They can't withstand 40 boats at one ramp, let alone 58. So, and we had a lot of help getting people in, getting side by sides, to get back after you park your truck and trailer. So, smoked everyone out. I don't know what his engine must have been smoking. Sean Simmons. Oh man, Cannon said it was a good time and great turnout. No, it was. Yeah. So I think Sean Cannon sent me a picture that they caught a flathead. Sean, I think I'm correct, right? You caught a flathead, but it wasn't big enough for their weigh-in, so they, you know what I mean. So I want to say we weighed 4 flatheads total, but I think some people had said that they had caught flatheads and they just were small. So
yeah, we caught a third flathead, but it was like a 5-pounder, I think, 4-pounder. So he went back in the water.
So when you get up there to your spot, you've not really pre-fished this time of day, right? So what are you doing? What are you doing when you get there? You're like, okay, we're going to scan for certain structure. Like is there a certain way you're wanting to try to set up? Because obviously there's probably more current even north.
Well, there was a lot of current. It was ripping. I mean, it was, we were throwing 10-ounce bank sinkers into the middle of this cut, and they're still going, all coming together type deal.
Wow.
So we actually did pre-fish the first spot we fished. We did pre-fish it, and we did catch a 13-pound channel on it. We caught that Friday morning before the motor issue started. We caught that 13-pounder, and we're like, okay, we know this spot has big channels. We're reeling up, and we're ready to go try a different area. And then we started having issues. So there's the cut we fished. It had a lot of really, really nice structure in it. It was 12 to 18 foot of water for the most part. We were trying to fish the seams of it, where there's trees in the water, sunken barges in the water type deal.
Sunken barges. Wow.
Yeah.
You can see them on the side imaging, or
yeah. You can see them on the side imaging, or you can see them. Yep. So we didn't catch anything on the sunken stuff, but there was a lot of riprap in the water. A lot of really, really interesting stuff we could see on the live scope.
So on these flatheads, how were they hitting it? Were they like a regular flathead bite where it's like a slow takedown, or were they just slamming it?
They were both slow takedowns. They were actually towards the middle of the day too. They weren't first thing. I mean, it took us 50 minutes to get up to our spot. It's like a 25 mile trek in our boat. So we didn't catch the first flathead till maybe 12:30, 1 o'clock. But no, he bit like yeah, we had our 5 fish. We had 5 channels, our smallest being like 8.5 pounds, I think. We were culling 8-pound channels at that point. The first flathead though, he consumed a live bluegill, and he took it down like a true flathead would. Nice slow bend, going out, you know. So
yeah, that's awesome. So you had, and to get bait, you guys struggled getting more of the shad. Couldn't find the shad, so then you were using rod and reel to catch bait, which is that's time consuming, or can be time consuming.
Yeah, I mean, so basically, I was bait fishing in the marina, or I was walking rocks. I was catching a lot of bluegill and crappie while Michael tore apart the motor. I mean, you know, he did his thing and I did my thing off to the side. So, and when we did have a chance, we would try and go out and cast net, or, you know, try for skipjack, but we really didn't, because we probably pulled the boat in and out 10 or 12 times on Friday and Saturday, just testing it and seeing if we got the issue cleared up in the motor. I mean, I think he tore apart the carburetors 3 or 4 times, making sure they were clean. So, yeah,
that is teamwork.
That's dedication
when
too.
When one partner's working on the engine, the other partner's catching bait. I mean,
I'm very fortunate that Michael's the captain. I mean, he's such a good handyman with what he can do. You know, he can fix almost anything. I mean, he can tear that motor down and have it back together in less than an hour and a half. I mean, you know, he can make a gasket out of anything.
Who's the better net man?
I mean, he netted both flathead. He did a great job. I caught the 2 flathead, but they both instantly rose to the surface, and they were like 20, 30 yards out the back of the boat in ripping current. So we instantly we have to release the trolling motor and float down to them, because we don't want them to roll on the top of the water. So he did an excellent job, you know, because he controls the trolling motor, of controlling the boat, getting to the fish and netting it, while making sure our five other lines aren't getting tangled up in the motor. You know, he did a great job. He really does.
Yeah, everybody's got a job on the boat, and that's important. I mean, netting a fish is a big. I always kind of make fun of that and make fun of some people that that struggle sometimes, but that's a big deal. If you hit the hook or hit the line, I mean, lose a fish like that could cost you a tournament.
Oh yeah, we've been there where they've come off right at the boat, or they get to the surface, 20 yards out from the boat, they start rolling, and then they just pop off. We've been there a couple times.
So were both those flatheads hooked good?
They were. The one was hooked a little bit in the throat, but the hook came out good, and he did great. And the other one was hooked right in the side of the mouth, so he was. They're both pretty good. When I get a flathead bite, yeah. When I get a flathead bite, I really like to feed them a lot of line, because we were using what rig was that? That was actually just a traditional Carolina rig that both of them got caught on because we were anchored at the time. Carolina rig with a single hook. So I think I fed both of them probably at least 7, 8, 9 foot of line before I would, set it.
Oh, really? So like once that rod's starting to go down, you just kind of keep feeding him some line?
Right. I pick up the rod and I hand feed him until I feel like he's fully consumed the bluegill or crappie, or if he turned his head, and then I can feel comfortable that I could set the hook on him.
Yeah.
Because the one bluegill was a pretty sizable bluegill that he ate. It was a nice bluegill, nice live bait.
Yeah, we have to try that. Well, like I said, we were catching bluegill before one of the times that we went up there and fished, but like I said, it was easy to get. There's so many, but a lot of them were pretty small that we were catching. We didn't catch no crab. It was just bluegill.
Just bluegill.
We only caught one shad in the net.
Yeah. There are so many people casting that marina.
Usually that marina's really good. I mean, it's a one and done throw,
Yeah.
but I don't know if that cold front pushed some of them out or
The muddy water, the rising water. Yeah, we've never been there, so that was our, we figured too it'd be pretty easy, but it was complete opposite. That marina had everything but shad in it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we saw people
Yeah,
catch
we did.
more than there.
Yeah, we caught I think I was the Dylan Lawson and Nate, and we caught a walleye. We caught about every species you could catch, but maybe one shad, and the rest were something else. I was like, this is terrible.
Yep. Somebody caught a pretty nice saugeye we saw when we were bluegill fishing.
That pool is just. It was good to hear you said earlier that you talked about the Illinois River, how it kind of reminds you of it. I mean, it's nothing like any other Mississippi, especially down, because I'm not used to north, but like from pool 20 down is nothing like pool 19. I mean, it's just so hard to describe. You got people out there bass fishing. I mean, the flats are just, you could have 100 boat tournament from, I mean, almost just in Montrose, just on how big it is right there from the flats and the channel. And it's just such a good area. It's kind of cool. We went down there and seen so many boats. They were all doing different things, but they were spread out. I was like, where's everybody at?
Yeah, I still don't think everyone who told us they went down that way, we didn't see half.
No, I mean, they must have been.
They're tucked.
They're just tucked up on the bank or way on those. I mean, them Montrose, I guess that's what they call it. The Montrose Flats is so big you can't even see barely the other side of the river. So, and there's a lot of stuff there too. But so north is where it was done, and I'm pretty sure the second place team was south. So, from one end of the pool to the other end of the pool, first and second place, and then everything else in between. How many fish would you say you caught all day?
We probably caught 12 or 13 fish throughout the day. And I honestly,
did you use bait or was it all live?
We were using a mixture. We had a mixture of, we had like probably half and half. The bigger crappie we caught, we used as cut bait. The cup crappie worked fantastic for the channels. I think most of the big channels came off the crappie. But I think the smallest channel we caught was like 7 pounds throughout the whole day. The smallest fish we caught was like a 5-pound flathead. Everything was sizable.
Do you think live bait, could you have caught those flatheads in that same area without live bait?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, this time last year I caught, it was like a 33-pound flathead off a piece of cut crappie here in the Illinois River. Yeah, we catch a lot of flathead especially early in the year off cut bait.
Cool.
But not shad though. More so like the panfish.
Interesting. That's good to know. I'm kind of because I don't ever catch. I never catch. If I catch a flathead, it's pure accident. Or, but I'd like to catch a big flathead. The way they fight, like pound for pound. I mean, I think my biggest flathead's probably in the 40s, maybe 44, but they feel like an 80-pound blue. I mean, they
feel like a
powerful
dog.
Yeah, powerful. So you were talking backstage about, you had another fish that got hung up and you couldn't get. Kind of explain that.
Yeah, so Michael we have no idea how big it was. He had a very nice bite first thing in the morning. He set the hook on it and instantly said it's a massive fish, but he couldn't really move it. So we didn't really know what to do. So he just kind of kept fighting it and pulling it upstream. We were in pretty good current. Eventually, he thinks he got it free, and it gets under the boat, but then it gets either hung up again in something, or it drug the tree with it, one of the two. And he probably had it under the boat snagged for probably 5 minutes. We couldn't see it on the live scope, what it was, until eventually, after trying to, horse it out of the snag, because we were getting kind of fed up with it, his rod snapped in two. And he kind of just sat there, kind of like hand lining it. But then it broke his line broke right at the hook. So we have no idea how big it was. It could have been a 5-pound channel hooked into a tree, or like an anchor rope maybe, or something. But it had some pretty big head shakes with it.
Oh, that's devastating. Especially that's one of the first things in the morning. So I mean, that had to be the next Friday until that other flathead bite. That had to be rough.
Yeah, we were mad. Yeah, we figured that was, that's the whole reason why we came up there. We knew, that was the fish we came to fish for and catch, and we potentially just missed it because it was hung up in something or dragging a tree with it.
So did you guys ever try the skunk? Cindy White was saying the skunk used to be killer for flats.
We were very interested, and that's right up our alley. That's where Keel figured that we fished at. Because that river looks awesome for what we kind of do with our small boat. But the skunk we tried to fish it earlier in the week for bait, and it was really muddy. And we saw some reports. Apparently there was like some form of chemical spill in the skunk like 2 weeks ago or something, 3 weeks ago. So we were kind of turned off from the idea of fishing it.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, apparently
there
was a chemical spill in there somewhere, some sort of, I don't know how many hundred thousands of gallons of stuff. Apparently there's no fish killed, but I don't know. Michael was looking all that up on the way.
Yeah, it's all those minor things that you look up and see, and I mean, can change a lot of things. And like I know that Connor and Salazar fished the skunk because I think they had some engine problems when they were in the skunk. I think they had lost some fish too and some structure, but like I said, they had 3 fish for 31 pounds, which is good, but they were channel cats. And I mean, it's those little things that you look at and they can change the bite, from whether the skunk is got a lot of current, a lot of trash, and then they're, right above the skunk on the Mississippi at that confluence. Just a lot of things can change, but you guys definitely, just knowing you guys the last couple of years fishing, are always doing your research on just the smallest things, and that's what can make or break you.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, when we were in Helena last year, Michael was looking at a fishing forum from like 2010, trying to find spots to fish and where people were catching fish at 15 years ago. He's really good at digging up old articles, old, information like that. Stuff like a potential oil spill or chemical spill, stuff like that. So what about, I guess, you're up there, you're fishing that. Are you focusing on, like, is there a reason did you fish shallow water, or did you just kind of, didn't want to? We positioned ourselves. So I was on the bank side. I was fishing the slacker water and part of the current seam. I was fishing some structure for the most part of the day, whether it was a log jam or a tree hanging in the water or something like that. So I had mainly the live baits on and maybe one cut bait, while he was fishing the strong current and the middle of the river. with cut bait and live bait. And he was like casting alongside the structure because we were kind of offset to the middle of the cut. But we kept trying to position ourselves where one of us could fish for a flathead, and then somebody can still be fishing for channels.
So is it harder to keep bait live when that bait's in some of that heavy current, or is there a different technique?
You got to hook them right, or else they'll drown themselves almost. If you hook them in a way to where their gills get caught in the current, they end up just dying in like a minute. So if you don't hook them right, they instantly just kind of die. But the current gives them artificial life, so it goes hand in hand.
True.
So, or if you have like a float on, I mean, it does help, or rattle.
Yeah, I guess that's a good idea. We're gonna catch some flatheads here soon. So you're up there. You caught these fish. Are you? So again, like you're kind of checking all the boxes. You're covering the shallow. You're covering the ledge, the deep. Did you ever try going onto a big flat, or is there any reason? Because you hear always that pool, a lot of people like to go to flats and structure, but you guys decided to go north. You just didn't want to even give south a try.
Right. We had some flats mapped out as a backup, but we really only fished probably a half mile, 3/4 mile stretch all day long. We just kept bumping down 20, 30 yards at a time to the next log jam, to the next piece of structure. We did try the middle of the river of the cut, a little bit. But it was, we really didn't move all that far every time. It was just bumping down every 15, 20 minutes, constantly moving and repositioning baits.
How long will you sit, especially if you're focusing on flatheads? How long will you sit in a spot?
If it was a really good spot, maybe a half hour. If we lost confidence, maybe 10 minutes at most. But it was, Michael has, I like sitting a little bit longer, but Michael does really like spot hopping. He likes, he gets a little impatient to where he wants to just jump every 10, 15 minutes. And it does work. That's how the 16-pound flathead came. We just moved. I casted out one bluegill. I go to cast out another, and my one bluegill, the rod is starting to cave. So, we were spot hopping quite a bit.
So when you're spot hopping, and like I said, you're going up there, or you're talking about what your game plan is. Is your game plan? Hey, we're gonna go to this mile of river, and we're going to beat it up all day. We're not going to get crazy. And if it's 10 o'clock and we haven't done good, we're not going to go run 30 miles. You're going to just try to focus on a general area and figure out what's going on. Will you ever make a crazy 20-mile run at 10 in the morning?
No, not in our boat. We can't afford to lose that much time. It's, you can't catch fish if you're not fishing. And
True.
We usually, when we have a good idea where the fish are, we'll be able to fish it for most of the day, and then we'll have some backup spots picked out beforehand that are relatively close by. I think if that didn't pan out where we first started, we were gonna fish somewhere below Burlington. It was only like a maybe 10-minute drive. So usually though, we're never able to fish like we did though. Usually we fish our first spots for like half the tournament, then the other half of the tournament's kind of scrambling, trying to pick up a kicker. But this, we were able to kind of just pick it apart all tournament long.
So everything worked in your favor. You just kind of picked it apart and found the fish you needed. And that's kind of, so do you like having that hour and a half to still get back? That 7 to 3, you can kind of finish up. then make a long run. Because one thing we seen yesterday is setting up throughout the day. There were a few boats that we would see past us going down and then going back. Like they did so much moving, you wonder if maybe they lost 2 hours of fishing, maybe 3 hours. By the time you make a move and get set up and make it, you're constantly moving so much, you don't have bait in the water, and when you only need 5 good bites, that can really kill you.
Right, exactly. Yeah, we try not to move that much or travel that much. But yeah, the 1.5-hour travel time was fantastic for us because, it was about a 40-minute drive going downriver for us. We did leave a little early because we were still unsure about our motor issues, if it did return. So we probably reeled up at 2:45, and we were on the water or leaving by 2:50 probably.
Yeah.
So
Hayden said the extra time saved him because he had motor issues too. He finally got pulled back, but I think he had to use, because we seen him at 9:30 in the morning. He was running his kicker. We thought, to me, it looked like they were, I don't know what they were doing. It looked like they were snagging for spoonbill, but I guess they were just having some engine problems. So he's known to run into have an engine problem or run over a big thing of carpet and have trouble making them back. And he had some good fish too. It's like I said, it was a strong top 8 finish for those top 8 teams.
Yeah, very competitive.
And interesting how you guys, I don't know how many people had live bait. I don't know if you ever talked to any other teams. I didn't really get to see in the morning live wells. I was kind of, Liz did most of that. So, I'm curious how many people said, we're going to go for some big flatheads. I think the water temp, what was the water temp that you guys seen up in Burlington?
It was like 62 to 64.
That's warm.
It was warmer than Fort Madison for sure.
But you guys, because sometimes you're going in, zero or hero when you go for a flathead.
Right.
If it pays off, it pays off big.
Right. We've reaped it before, and we've wept it before. It's it's you can live or die by it sometimes, but that's why we try to minimize it by fishing spots that can hold flats and channels simultaneously. But no, we definitely palmed out.
Yeah, those channels you had were really nice too. Like I said, Colin 8-pound channels is
It's a good day.
a good day.
Right.
Is a good day. And you guys had them flatheads were on fire. I remember you pulling them out of the live well. They were fired up.
Right. Oh yeah, they're excited. They wanted to show the camera what they're all about.
Yeah. Extra crispy. So yeah, Hayden said that she's toast, lower unit exploded. So that's luckily he had a kicker on that boat, but I don't know if they had live bait. Like I said, it's a lot of people have gone to live bait every once in a while. I know I've seen quite a few bait tanks actually. I know some people like to use Moon Eye. I don't know if Moon Eye was tough to get or whatever, but yeah, do you think, let me ask you this, the engine problem, could that have worked in your favor because then you could catch bait in the marina? Or would you have focused that much time trying to catch bait?
We would have had live bait regardless. We're very meticulous when it comes to getting bait. We like to have enough of every bait category, so we would have had at least 25 pieces of 25 live baits, and then we would have attempted to get 30 to 50 baits worth of cut bait at the same time. But it did work in our favor though, because then we ended up just having the limit for Iowa is 25 panfish per person. So I think we had 45 baits total, in case of DNR sauce. We wanted to make sure DNR wouldn't, give us a ticket for having too many panfish.
And explain that, how you had to do the water.
Yeah, so in Iowa, you're not allowed to transfer river water or creek water with live bait. If you want to keep live bait legally, you're technically supposed to have treated tap water for your live bait. If you use river water, technically the DNR can, write you a ticket and confiscate your bait. We learned that from one of Trevor Bauer's River Certified, one of his videos. So, we probably read the Iowa rule book 10 times over trying to make sure we weren't making any, potential infractions.
So, and what were you putting in it? You were talking about you put some in the water,
like a G juice, like the better bait stuff. And then there's Michael's got some sort of ammonia treatment. Seems to help the bait, but
so your bait was all good. I mean, that's a lot of bait to keep live.
Yeah, we had a little 40 quart cooler, 30 quart cooler. So yeah, we had 40, 45 baits in there at least.
Which the air temp probably helped that it wasn't 95 degrees.
If it was warm out, we would have had a few die. The cooler water definitely helped. It's so much easier to keep the bait lively when it's cooler.
Yeah, because it probably got down in almost high 40s.
It was 44 at launch.
Cool.
44 at launch. Yeah, it was. I was gonna say it was chilly in the morning. That is not.
And then the
typical.
wind just kept kicking up.
The wind didn't help. It was.
Fort Madison is a good wind though. A north wind is just fine, at least for waves and whatnot.
Yeah, because that place can get rough. That's like the ocean when it gets kicking.
Right. If you get a south wind in that stretch, it's rollers.
Yeah, I think 2 years ago we had one of those. I mean, it was brutal. So what's plans next? So what do you guys been doing with all this money? You saving it to the side now? That's almost what, 20 grand in a few months?
Michael spent quite a bit on the boat motor, rebuilding the carburetors and all the other nonsense. No, it really, I mean, Michael just closed down a house 2 weeks ago. So he's been fixing that up. My money.
You guys live in the same town?
What's that?
You live in the same town?
No. Well, we used to live together last year. We both lived with our mother. But I bought a house last year and he just bought one. But no, I live in Bureau and he lives in Spring Valley, Illinois.
How far apart is that?
10 miles.
10 miles.
Yeah, not.
How often do you guys get to fish together? Is it just tournaments? Do you fun fish much together? Or
Last year we haven't really fun fished much this year because we've been so busy. I mean, last year we probably fun fished at least twice a week. Whether it was chasing flatheads or fishing for channels or doing whatever. Michael, he fishes a lot. It's when he's got really nothing going on, he's fishing 6 days a week. You
guys put the time in. I that's a fact because you don't just come to tournaments of this caliber and win and do. I mean, even if you guys haven't won, I mean, you're consistent.
Right.
I mean, there's a reason Rhett bought you guys. He knew it's a pretty good bid. And like I said, it's, I don't know all your finishes offhand last year, but they were incredible. I mean, you guys are always, your dad too. I think your dad had big fish at Pekin.
Yep.
Didn't he have like a 14-pound channel cat?
Yeah, he had a 17 or 18-pound channel, or 19 maybe. Yeah. And he actually in our local Illinois River series, he caught a 15 or 16-pound channel cat. They had a tournament Sunday in Lake, Illinois, and he caught a toad channel cat. So you're mainly fishing the Illinois River probably 90% of your time? Yeah.
How does that, what you've learned, obviously you learned a ton on that. How does that come over to the Mississippi? Can you take a lot of what you've learned to the Mississippi?
Yes, we have. It depends on the pool. Like I said, for this pool 19 and pool 20, for the most part, are very similar to the Illinois River for channels and flathead. But any of the pools that have big blues in them, we really are not winging it, but we're learning along the way. Trying to learn from others, trying to watch videos. from what I can tell, the blues are kind of like flatheads, but it's been interesting.
What are you guys' personal best flatheads and channel cat?
Michael's is low. No, Michael's is mid-30s for a flathead. Mine is 34. For channel cat, Michael caught like a what was it? Michael caught like a 13 or 14 pound channel, and I caught a 15-pound channel out of Lake Powhatan.
Yeah, them are some big channels.
Mm-hmm.
We got some work to do.
You got some work to do. What's your personal channel? That 11 we caught at the very end of the live?
Yeah, we're gonna start. Well, we just got a new pair of those Bubbas that like it's pretty cool. So when you're out, especially channel cats, you catch so many you forget what you caught 2 fish ago. So now like you can weigh each one and it'll kind of keep track of that. But my goal is to catch a 15-pound channel cat this year. Yeah. So I'm gonna beat pool 19 up.
Right. Well,
and I'm gonna start using some live bait and try to catch a flathead.
Right.
Yeah, we have target flatheads. We've never done that.
Yeah, they're fun. They really are.
We catch them on accident.
Right. Well, we do too all the time. I mean, it is really fun, especially, you know, camping and night fishing for them. You know, that's one of our favorite things to do for fun fishing is, you know, camping out on the river. He does it a lot, like 2-3 day long camping trips on like the Vermilion River in central Illinois, or the Fox River in Illinois, for flatheads.
Thanks, Blent. Blent just said good luck on that, Alan. I'm going to catch one. I'm going to catch a 15. That's my goal. No, so you always hear flatheads. You can only catch them at night. Obviously, that's not the case. Do you think that the night bite is better for them, or you can catch them 24 hours?
You can catch them 24 hours. It helps.
12:30 is kind of a late bite. I mean, that's the middle of the day.
Right. It helps that it's still springtime and it's still pre-spawn in cooler water. I think both flathead that I caught were moving out of their structure. If I remember correctly, both of them bit on a rod. It was on a ripping lips rod, the one I bought from Dave's Marine. They wasn't really up in any structure. It was on like a ridge line. So I think they were both moving flathead though, since it was still early spring and they're not really, you know, hunkered down in structure quite yet.
This is pathetic. Roxy, are you serious?
She's just showing you that she's here. She's letting you know.
Jeff said 15.5 in Burlington, 24-pound on the Red River. Yeah, 15.5. I've seen, like I said, we've seen some big channels. I know they're there. Yeah, Calvin said flats are very territorial. And I agree this time of year, you know, especially when we're fishing some of these dikes up here across on the Des Moines, you know, we catch a lot of flatheads because I think they're on the move right now. Water temp in the low 60s, good currents running. Like I said, like we talked backstage, like I'm excited to kind of go fish some structure and just use some more live bait and catch some big fish. I don't know if you were watching. So we did a live a few weeks ago for Fishing for Freedom. And are you comfortable yet? Like, it's ridiculous. And we were in about 12 or 13 foot of water right off the bank in some wood. And I had a rod get slammed and missed it. But it had to be a good fish. Like I want to go back to that spot and catch whatever that was. But
right.
Yeah, Nate said he's got a 19-pound in pool 19 and 32. So, yeah, I think that there's some big channels there. Well, I don't know if you heard Tim and Tommy Walsh, you know, the Walsh brothers.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I think that he said that they had a 17-pound channel cat that died on this weekend, on Sunday.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Want to wait for it?
I don't remember.
They were high 30s, I think.
Wow.
And I don't know if they weighed 4 or if they had 5, but
I have it right here.
On how many fish they had?
No, but they had 38.49 pounds. For 38.5 pounds.
They had a good bag, but yeah, they losing a 17-pounder. I could tell because Tim was like not all like he was distraught, right? I mean, he was, yeah, they were disappointed, but that's what Tommy called me. We chatted today a little bit.
She loves you so much.
Pathetic. Yeah, Tom said they weighed 4. They found the fish when they pulled in the harbor. Yeah, so they weighed, what'd they have for 4?
38.5.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it would have been close then.
They had 38, 4, 9, and 4 fish.
It would have been very, very close.
That's crazy, yeah. So, I mean, it's everything matters, you know what I mean? Having a fish. And it's sometimes it could be a hook, you know.
That would be so devastating. Like, oh.
Could you imagine? Yeah.
Fish. That's a good
that's a
amount
fish
of
of a
weight
lifetime.
for a channel cat tournament.
Yeah,
know?
especially in a tournament to lose a fish like that. What do you guys, and I always stress fresh water, keeping an eye on your fish. I'm sure y'all, whatever you guys do to your fish, you guys got some of the
Amazing.
healthiest fish.
They're
in the
spoiled
land.
rotten. I mean, we probably throughout. So this tournament, since it is cooler water, the water is cleaner. It's easier on the fish. But we probably did, because we have our big cooler. It's like a 45-gallon cooler, or whatever, 50-gallon maybe. We've every hour and a half or so, we empty out half of it with a 5-gallon bucket or a bilge pump, and we put more water back into it. And then we add different additives to the water to help them with the ammonia. So, you know, we do, we're very careful with our fish.
Yeah, you always got to take care of the fish, and fresh water is always key. You know what I mean? Having the best, cleanest water you can. And luckily this time of year, this tournament's pretty easy, especially as cool as the water is. But as it gets warmer, you know, Burlington will be Burlington's in September. So, you know, you can't catch those fish at 8 o'clock in the morning and keep that same water all day as they're puking.
Right. You gotta cycle it and especially as they bleed too. If you do hook one bad, that water gets bloody. It just makes the fish mad.
Yeah. Mike Mallett sent me a message a little bit ago, and he said that when he cleaned his live well, let me read that. Let's see. He said, just to let you know, my live well was full of baby clams yesterday. The hatch must have been good up there. So do you ever look for stuff like that, like clam beds or mussel beds or anything like that to find fish, or do you kind of do you know how to find like a mussel bed like on your 2D, or have you ever done that?
Oh, I never have. I'm sure Michael has. But no, we'll see them sometimes. We'll see the clams come up on our hooks, or you know, we'll snag them as we reel in or something. But we do see it as like a good sign though, for sure, that there's probably catfish eating the clams in the area.
Yeah.
There's quite a few clam beds on the Illinois River. So we'll use that as an indicator of where the catfish are, or walleye for walleye fishing.
So what's your second big species that you chase are walleye, would you say, or?
Probably crappie would be second, and then walleye. I mean, I go up to Detroit every year and walleye fish up there during the walleye run in the springtime. But we fish for every species. I mean, in a given week, we'll catch almost every single fish in the river, you know. So
do you think being able to catch crappie and walleye, does that make you a better catfish angler, would you say?
I think it does. You can't be one-dimensional, that's for sure. You know, you gotta know what all the fish in the river are doing. You know, if you know where the bait fish are, the panfish, you know, that might indicate where some of the catfish are. If you know where the striper are busting on all the minnows and shiners, you know, catfish could be following suit. So if you're catching them in one area, you might know better where to fish for the cats.
Yeah. I like it. That's good. What's up, Gary? Sean said, I don't have to travel far. They caught a 14-3 in front of the house. Well, that's devastating. Well, we're gonna get a 15 this year. We're gonna try until we get one. Speaking of the Detroit River, are there any good channel cats in there?
We never hooked into one. I think one of the buddies in one of our groups 2 years ago hooked into a pretty nice channel, like a 9-pounder. But no, we didn't really. I was hoping to hook into a flathead or two, because I hear there's pretty decent flatheads between between St. Clair and Erie. But
you just never really see people up there fishing for channel cats.
No, we see people bank fishing for them when we're up there. So, yeah, that's a very interesting river, though. Yeah.
So what's next on the list, tournament wise, fun fishing wise? What's something you're looking really forward to this year?
Well,
any place you're gonna go?
Probably. I mean, we're really looking forward to Pekin. I mean, that's. Pekin's our home territory. So we're really looking forward to Pekin. We probably won't even. We might pre-fish, but we're going to be so busy in the coming weeks with our both of us working on our houses and doing work and whatnot. But we're very excited for Pekin. We got 5th place last year, so we're looking to improve on that.
I think it'll be another pretty big turnout too. I think boats are starting to sign up. I don't think we'll see that influx because we're not doing a takeoff like what we do. But what did we have last year? We hit 50.
It was either high 40s or low 50s.
Yeah, it was a good turnout. I think I assume it'll be much bigger this year even.
Right.
Obviously, we'll be doing this one in honor of Danny Sapp. Danny for years was beating me up. Alex, you got to come up here. You got to bring us a tournament to Pekin, and he made that happen, and that's pretty cool. So we're going back up there for Danny, and gonna throw on an awesome event, and pretty pumped about that. So, and like I said, it's been a fun time. Pekin's kind of like every event is its own deal, and Pekin having the boat club and all that stuff, makes it fun. The Friday night, it's just a fun event, a cool place to have a weigh-in.
Right.
I'm trying to read the board. See.
Yeah, she's just in your order. So what else besides Pekin? Is there any other places you're going this year? Obviously, you go to the Detroit River. Where else?
In June, I'm going to go up to Wisconsin for a week and crappie fish. The girlfriend, her whole family rents out like a whole resort up there on Lake, Birch Lake and Lake Big Chetek. So we go up there and crappie fish all week. That's in early June. So I don't think Michael has much planned for the summertime. At least he does do some pretty big ice fishing trips during the wintertime, but trip wise, that's really it other than tournament fishing.
So that is interesting. You're doing Pekin. Do you have any plans to do any other events?
Yeah. So we plan on fishing Pekin. We plan on fishing Burlington. We'll probably fish Alton again towards the end of the year. If we do qualify for the championship, we don't know if we're going to be able to make it. We don't know yet. That's still a decision that's up in the air. If we qualify.
You got a good start, that's for sure.
Right. We got a first and a 17th or 19th place
at Alton, 17th or 19th. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's tough. You guys, there's some new anglers that are chasing it. You've seen some Kansas boys there this weekend. Craig Norris right now he's got a first and a second, I think.
And a fourth, I think.
Maybe. Yeah, fourth. So I'll do work on points tomorrow and try to get the points kind of back on track. But it'll be interesting this year, especially, we got a few more events. It's going to come down to the wire. But I will tell you, if you followed some of our stuff on Twisted Cat and our personal pages, that the Morgan City, Louisiana is probably one of the coolest places I've ever fished, just from kind of the swamp. Is it the Swamp People, or what is that show?
Swamp People.
Swamp People in that area. Like her personal best came on one of the lakes that they run the show on.
Crazy.
Yeah, like there's a gas station / bait store that you'll see some of them. The Stale Cracker dude with the mullet, he's in that area. So it's a really unique area, and we didn't even know what really a bull red was. And when we go down there to try to catch catfish and catch bull reds completely on accident, and that is like, to catch a 50-pound blue and then on the other side of the boat a bull red within 5 minutes, that's just an amazing fishery. So pretty excited about that. I think, like I said, I think you guys are going to be a force to be reckoned with. Again, something I'm taking from this is you're not one-dimensional, and I think that that's key. Being able to go catch a crappie or a walleye or a striper, understanding, the bait that they're chasing, why they're chasing it, times of year, water temp, being able to catch bait. There's people that couldn't catch bait like you guys did this weekend, and that's key.
Yeah. There was a lot of people that were hurting for bait big time. I wonder how many people used, chicken and how they did.
Oh, chicken or worms, or I seen a lot of people at Farm and Home getting worms. Getting good live bait like that, takes you got to be able. You can't just be a catfish guy that goes and buys bait. You got to be able to kind of think outside the box, and that's impressive what you guys did. And you guys are pretty good. Like I said, like I said, you got a couple more tournaments that you can do really good. Bet he didn't have a goldfish. Yeah, Sean said he caught. You never showed me that picture, Sean, but he caught a goldfish in the marina, big goldfish. Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah. Huh?
Somebody's pet.
Yeah, I don't know. That's crazy, but yeah.
We caught everything. We caught a couple 3-pound bass on our ultralights. We caught walleye in there. Michael caught a couple northern pike. That place was loaded. It's a pretty special marina.
Isn't that weird? I don't know if there's any other, I know Burlington's got a marina, but I think that it's pretty silted in. Have you been in that marina in Burlington?
Can't say I have.
Just north of the bridge, there's I don't know how you get in there, but it's pretty shallow water, I think. But I don't know. I know some people have tried to catch bait in there, but I don't know if it's, holds bait like the other does. Caught a pike in that marina is what Sean said. So I guess, do you have any goals this year? Is there a certain, you want to catch a 40-pound flathead or a 20-pound channel, or what's any goals that you have that you're chasing?
We want to catch a big flathead, we think, in a tournament. That would be pretty awesome. We either want to do that or we want to catch a massive blue during the Alton tournament later this year. I think for blues, our PB, mine is 53 and Michael's is 40. So if we could improve on our PBs and Alton, that would be awesome.
Catching PBs in a tournament, I'll take that any day.
Right. That's really the only time we do end up doing any bluefish. So, oh wow.
That's what Sean sent me. That's impressive. I don't know if that's a pet or what that is. Yeah, so like I said, that's awesome. I didn't realize that, you guys are so, chasing a lot of other species, and, you do travel a lot to catch. Going to Wisconsin to catch crappie and learning the dynamic of, what those fish do. That's impressive.
Right.
A lot of those anglers a lot of the anglers that are good in the trail are not just one-dimensional.
Right. Like Joe Ludsford, he did great in that crappie, or did he win the crappie tournament?
Who?
Joe Ludsford.
He got first last year, second this year.
And then he won Alton.
Yeah, he destroyed it at Alton.
Yeah, by a lot, like 40, 50 pounds. Wasn't
Yeah.
it? It was a lot.
And I think, and you're probably going to test this, I think traveling, like that's something that we've really been doing the last couple of years, even Liz and I, where, you know, going to Milford, it's 7 hours away, but we went to Milford and learning, you know, how that
New
fish
water.
is and new water. Like every time you can get out and fish new water, and especially in a tournament scenario, which most of the time we fish, if we're not in a tournament, we're probably being somewhat competitive. That's cool. You know, Dylan?
Oh yeah, he's one of our friends. Yep. Yeah, he used to fish. He fished some of the local tournaments before he moved to Alaska.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and seeing you guys do that, I think, you know, most of these anglers that fish Twisted Cat get better and better because they're going to Fort Madison and then they're going to Fort Smith or they're going to Alton. And once you see all these different bodies of water, you can just learn a lot and take that to the next place you go. And it's incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Jeff said, walleye fishing in North Dakota, Devil's Lake in 3 weeks. Can't wait. Cliff just said 19 is full of goldfish. You can go up the creeks between Hamilton and Nauvoo in the spring and see them all over.
Interesting.
I never knew that. Yeah, Sean said the ability to break down new waters quickly and effectively is second important to fresh bait. I agree. And again, I always go back to tournament anglers. And, you know, if you just went to Fort Madison, if I went and fished Fort Madison yesterday and had a terrible day, caught 3 fish, the fishing just plain sucked. But somebody always figures it out, like what you guys did. And you learn, like you guys went north and you did this. Well, you know, Donald Moore went south and fished flats and did that. So you kind of learn like what worked, what didn't. And it helps, like, it almost is like a fast track to upping your game, tournament fishing and seeing what other people do and talking to them at the captain's meeting and learning. And then you learn that new water. Like, it's definitely helped us, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And there is always luck involved too. I mean, there always is a smidge of luck. I mean, we did get a little bit lucky. I do think so.
I'd rather be lucky than good, though. I mean,
right.
You know.
Right. Next, we did kind of have a strategy. So I mean,
yeah.
You can boom
with. I do got a question for you guys. I was going to ask earlier. When you're using live bait compared to cut bait, is there a difference in leader line? Like, on flatheads, do you like to use like a really long leader line, a short leader line? Do you like to let those fish travel more, that live bait?
No, we don't. Our leaders are anywhere from 12 to 18 inches. We really don't mess around with changing our leaders out specifically for cut bait or flathead, or for live bait or cut bait. So yeah, I know Gary Flatty has a lot of theories about leader lines, but we really haven't experimented too much with changing it up.
Yeah. Interesting, because everybody has their own theory. You know what I mean? That you got to have long, you got to have short times a year if you're in mud or rock, and it's just always interesting.
Right.
You know,
if the current's fast, I do like a shorter leader. You know, less chance for it to get caught up in something.
So last year at Pekin, I watched a boat catching flatheads right at the Pekin Boat Club where we were setting up. They were using bobbers.
Yeah.
So they were floating bait above the rocks, I guess, and that's how they were targeting those flatheads.
Yeah, Michael, he's done that quite a bit in the shallow rivers around here. And he even did that. I think he actually brought a bobber rod last year to Pekin, but I don't think he ended up using it. Yeah, that's a fun time.
About 25 boats in front of the.
Yeah, right now people are going to buy bobbers.
Jumping off the line.
I mean, I know people have used it. Like I said, I think that like I said, we watched them catch several flatheads, and they were drifting.
Yeah.
So they're drifting down and just had the bobber, and it was pretty cool to watch that.
It's just another form of dragging. It's just you're dragging with a bobber downriver. I mean.
in probably that time of year, I guess, maybe close to spawn, they're on the rocks.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you avoid getting snagged that way too.
Oh yeah. Because that's devastating, like what you said, the morning of the tournament. I mean, losing a fish tournament day, especially first thing in the morning, that's hard to get over. I mean, some people can just give up. You know? Mike said, learning every time we hit the water. Absolutely. So before we go, any last words? Anything? Anybody you want to thank?
I mean, Mike over at Days Marine, he did help us quite a bit when we were diagnosing our motor and, trying to figure out what was going on with it. He sold Michael some parts for it. I bought that rod from him and that caught the flathead. So, I mean, he was a huge help. He's a really great guy when we're talking to him. He was very willing to help us. So, yeah, I mean, our dad was helping us out. He trying to give us insights of where maybe to go before the tournament. But yeah,
Your dad, I can already see him during the weigh-in, just like he was at the championship. He's pacing back and forth. I mean, I can't. Yeah. He is not sitting down watching you guys weigh in.
Right. No, he's yelling, he's screaming at the phone. He's very, very verbal.
Yeah.
Likes to have his voice heard type deal.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, we're super excited. We're pumped for you guys and can't wait to see. I think there's no doubt you'll make the championship pretty easy. Especially with your first.
I want to fish it, but it's a lot of money. It's a lot of driving, a lot of,
But at least making it is going to be, I mean, that's something in itself is qualifying to be able to go.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big deal.
Right. Yeah. I would absolutely love to go, which there's still a good chance we will go if we qualify.
You never know. There could be somebody that fishes 3 tournaments that says, hey, I'll give you boys a free ride to come down and jump in my boat.
Yeah. True. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, we'd love to go fish with you sometime. I know we talked about that last year. We'll have to get that done because you're only just about 2 hours and 45 minutes away from us. So.
No, it's not far at all.
No. Well, hey, I appreciate you being on, taking your time on a Monday night and hanging out with us and giving some insights. And again, super big congrats for that 58 boat first place win and having some nice flatheads. And hopefully everybody watching tonight maybe picked up on one thing that will help them become a better angler in the future. And again, you two are great kids at young, and I mean, been doing this for a long time. And you guys' future is very bright, as good as you guys are right now, because you're fishing against the best of the best, in my opinion, for sure. So good job. Let's stay in touch, and thanks again for being on.
Yep. No, thanks for having me. We'll see you in 3 weeks for Pekin.
Yeah, a couple weeks we'll be in Pekin, and everybody, thanks. We had an awesome time. Pekin will be just as fun. You can get registered now online. We'll also register Friday night at the boat club, and then Saturday morning we can still register. But our next tournament, Stop 6, is Pekin, Illinois. Hope to have you there. It'll be a fun time. And if you have any questions about that event, let us know. Hopefully tomorrow or Wednesday, then the points will be updated. And I'm sure there'll be a little bit of some shakeups in the top 50. And after Pekin, it's going to get really crazy because you're going to have a lot more anglers in there, and pretty excited about that. So congrats again. Have a good job. Have a good rest of your week, and we'll see you in a few weeks.
Yep. We'll be talking to you.
All right. See y'all. Have a good week.
Bye.